Ed O'Keefe, it was a busy day at the White House. It was a day where the president, the sitting president, extended a ritualistic courtesy and an important transitional note of cooperation to President-elect Trump. How did it all go down?
Well, first, to your question about the shock, there is some shock. But I talked to somebody again today who said, I think it's important to remember here is the president's trying to not only reward loyalists, but reward his base. He promised to be disruptive. He promised to make some big changes across the federal government. Matt Gaetz is the latest to embody that. Whether or not he ever gets confirmed, whether or not it's through a recess appointment, doesn't matter. He's trying to demonstrate to his base and to those closest to him that were with him all the way that he's trying to make good on these promises. 60 some odd days to go, however, until Inauguration Day. Let's see if this stands. Now, what transpired here today at the White House is in keeping with the tradition that presidents like to try to maintain as they pass power from one to the next. And today, President Biden afforded a courtesy to President Trump that President Trump didn't afford to then President-elect Biden 4 years ago when he was still disputing the results of the 2020 election. What today's meeting was about was essentially launching what the Biden administration and what Trump signaled would like to be a seamless transition, one that has the two sides talking over the course of the next several weeks leading up to Inauguration Day. What we're waiting to hear is when or if the Trump team signs the sort of formal and legal memoranda of understanding that's required to allow Trump transition leaders to go into the different departments and agencies and start figuring out what's been going on and what they might want to do instead. That hasn't happened yet, according to the White House. The Trump team has not signaled that they've done it yet, but there have been some that have publicly said that they want to do this. We know it was a meeting that lasted just under 2 hours, mostly in and around the Oval Office. Just the two of them, plus their chiefs of staff, Jeff Zients, the current chief of staff, Susie Wiles, the incoming chief. And it covered a host of domestic and congressional issues, plus national security, Ukraine and the Middle East especially. In an interview with the New York Post this afternoon, Trump confirmed they spoke about Ukraine. He asked Biden for his opinions on the Middle East. And as Trump said, he graciously shared them. So a good sign, at least to the public here in this country and around the world, that a peaceful and hopefully successfully seamless transition is underway, Major.
And Ed, I want to burrow down just a bit on what you mentioned about that memorandum of understanding, because as I understand it, and my recollection is that carries with it some ethical obligations, some sort of fair play obligations of the incoming administration to abide by. And if it's unsigned, it makes this much more difficult, does it not?
Yeah, there's the elements about the entity that sort of oversees it all, but also some individual ones when it comes to who can get into departments to start looking over the books and whatnot. So we'll see what kind of legal framework eventually defines this and to what extent Trump officials are allowed to go into these agencies. We've been hearing from rank and file and others at these departments who are anticipating those visits and wondering what will ultimately happen. But that happens every 4 years if the rule book is followed. So far, though, again, no sign that those agreements have been signed.
Finn, you heard Ed O'Keefe refer to the shock effect of this Gaetz announcement and the base probably being, the Trump base probably being enthusiastic about that. Do you think this is a long-term commitment from President-elect Trump to Matt Gaetz, or if this gets really dicey in the Senate? Senate Republicans asked immediately after the announcement were a little hesitant about this. Do you think he goes to the mattresses, to use a phrase, for Matt Gaetz?
I think what we saw today with the election of Senator Thune to that leadership position shows that there is an independence there that body does have, especially in with the influence that and